Joining us now, Democratic Senator representing the state of Illinois, Tammy Duckworth. Senator, thank you very much. Explain the Right to Conception Act.
Well, my bill actually will allow four things to happen. It includes my Right to Family Building Act, which is going to allow folks to access all forms of assistive reproductive technology. It allows insurance companies to cover it if they want to cover it, and medical facilities and doctors to provide access to reproductive technology if they want to access it. It includes Patty Murray's bill, which says that servicemen and women should be able to freeze their eggs and sperm before a deployment into a combat zone. And if they find themselves after they come home and they are infertile and they need IVF, they should be able to access it. It includes Cory Booker's bill that will bring down the cost of IVF so that it is affordable to everyone. And then lastly, it also includes my bill that covers IVF for federal employees so that their health insurance will cover IVF for those who need it.
So this is the Right to IVF Act, which is going to come up for a vote yes. later this June. Republicans have said on the record that they support IVF. Do you expect them to support this act?
Well, I'd like them to, but I expect that they will vote no on it because they really don't support IVF. They say they do, but they've not solved the underlying problem in their position, which is they all believe that a fertilized egg is an extrauterine child, to use the words of the Alabama Supreme Court. And if that is the case, then you cannot access IVF because many of the procedures in IVF will be murder or manslaughter. You know, when I created 5 fertilized eggs as part of my IVF procedure, 3 of them were non-viable, and we had to discard those 3 because had my doctor implanted those in me, they would have caused a miscarriage. And so we had to discard those. That act now is potentially manslaughter and murder. So you can't be somebody who supports and want to say that a fertilized egg is an extrauterine child, but then also say you support IVF, because the two are not compatible.
So what is the goal here for Democrats to bring this to the House to show that Republicans might say they support it, but they don't actually support it? What is the warning that Democrats are trying to make with this?
Well, I hope that they'll support it. So far, I have 36 co-sponsors of this entire bill. It just in the last 24 hours. So maybe we'll get some of these Republicans who say they support IVF to sign on. And if we do, then we will be setting a real precedence and creating a statutory right for people to start families using reproductive technology. But if they don't, then they're sending a very clear message to the American people that they do not support IVF, that they do not support the right of families to have their own children, and people should remember that when they go to the polls in November.
What about the Right to Contraception Act? Why is this potentially a controversial thing? Why would Republicans not sign up for people to have the right to not conceive, to stop themselves before they even do conceive?
Well, the same fundamental problem also occurs here with the fertilized egg being a human child. It would actually mean that IUDs, a form of birth control that is used for women, especially low-income women, would no longer be viable because, again, an IUD prevents implantation of a fertilized egg. So an IUD would actually be committing manslaughter or murder every single cycle. And also, you're seeing now in many states where Republicans are trying to ban access to many forms of birth control, and this is a fight that is ongoing. And so we're just trying to create a federal statutory right to access contraception.
Do you think that if Republicans take back control of the Senate and say they have control of the House and win the White House, that there will be a federal ban, or they'll attempt a federal ban on contraception or on IVF or on abortion?
Oh, I think so, definitely. And I think, I think they'll come at it outright. But even if they don't, look at the case in Texas. Texas Right to Life, which wrote the Texas bounty laws, had on their webpage that, they would only support IVF if every fertilized egg from IVF were implanted. That would include the ones that would cause a miscarriage. And so you have this fundamental issue where you now have doctors already in these Republican states that refuse to provide contraception or other reproductive health care services, and many of them are actually leaving those states. And so you're going to find America being a country where huge swaths of our population will not have access to reproductive health care.
Senator Tammy Duckworth, really good to have you. Thank you so much for joining us.